Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Ride Boundless Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Ride Clean, the simple and easy way of cleaning your motorcycle or car. Simply shake, spray, and wipe and get a mirror-like finish, UV protection. It's made in America. Check them out at rideclean.co. Use promo code RBPodcast for 25% off, plus free shipping and some extra goodies. This episode is a fun episode. I got to meet Arthur, which is now my boy, and he shared his story. Arthur Williams Jr. is an American-born counterfeiter and the subject of a book called The Art of Making Money by Jason Kersten. He is also known for having counterfeited the 1996 issued $100 bill, the quality of which is par with a supernote. His story starts in Chicago and the ups and downs of life and how he dealt with it. He was very open speaking about it. He's also they're also working a movie based on his life and his accomplishments. And now he's an artist and he's had galleries in Beverly Hills and has traveled all over the place. So without further ado, my guest, my boy, Arthur J. Williams Jr. Arthur, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Sorry about the whole parking situation and shit.
Yeah.
What were we saying? We were talking about Miami. We were talking about
get in, get out.
Get in, get out.
But that's where it started for me, though.
Yeah.
With the art.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just went down there, took a shot. Art Basel. I think it was 18, end of 17. My house had just burned down. So my house burned down in June. It was June of 17. I had been out of prison, I think at that time, probably like 3 years. And so I had just started getting my life together.
Yeah.
You know, took 3 years, you know, and a lot of shit. You know,
now hold on, because
Yeah.
I've been going
Prison.
I've been going online and you're originally from Chicago, you moved to Texas.
Yeah.
But before we get into your house burning down, how do you introduce yourself? I mean, you're so many things. You're an artist, but you're not. You're being known for being an artist, but before
for me, I just tell people,
what's
I'm
your fame?
Creator.
You're a
creator. I like to create things, and I like an inventor, a writer, an artist, explorer, just curious, man. You know, I'm always curious. That's what keeps me going. You know, but a creator more than anything. I just like to create things. I got 7 kids, so so I create.
That's fucking crazy. That's like that's a master. That's the master painting of all things.
My last 3 are really
7
cool.
What's the age gaps?
30 to 1 month old. Just had one.
Wow.
Yeah, her name's Lightning.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
Lightning.
So I got real. So my first 4 kids, they all got
Lightning.
Lightning Williams.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, my boy is Da Vinci Williams, and then I got legally,
like
Da Vinci.
that's on the birth certificate.
Da Vinci Williams. So my first 4, I was like obsessed with AJW. All the kids had to have my initials.
Yeah.
Right. Arthur, my firstborn, and Alexis Juliet, and then these last 3 was on my, artistic thinking, right? So I got Da Vinci, Love, and Lightning. Love is my daughter,
and
too,
Lightning,
and Lightning, yeah,
legally,
and
mom's cool,
loves it. She's the one who I was kind of struggling with the Lightning because I thought we were gonna have a boy. So I said, if it's a boy, we're gonna name him Lightning because I was struck by lightning.
Yeah,
like real deal. 2004, Williamsburg, Illinois. That's a whole nother story.
Like legit.
Lost all my hair. Felt like sand for 3 days. Crazy shit, man. That was a wild one. I was running some money from St. Louis. Wow. Yeah, that's a crazy story. But no, I mean, actually, it's an interesting thing. You know, when you look back at life, you know, especially one that's been so just, up and down, you sometimes question, is it real? You know, like when I tell people when I'm talking with someone and a memory pops up and I bring it up, it almost feels like bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. And because you're like, damn, did that really happen to me, man? You know?
It sounds so fucking absurd.
Sounds so, it's absurd, right?
Even saying it after living it sounds so
But that's
absurd.
just like one of 1,000 though, right?
Yeah.
You know, from prison riots, from projects Southside Chicago to hanging out with the old gangsters in Chicago, learning how to print money. You know, all these things happen and they all seem fascinating, right? As I'm older now, like during the time, prison wasn't fascinating, right? You know what I'm saying? That place was a hellhole. But I look at it now as fascinating because I did some fascinating shit while I was in prison.
Yeah.
I studied, I read, I painted, I invented, right? I let my mind be free in prison. That was where I actually, you know, found, it took 3 times though. I went to prison 3 times, 12 years altogether, you know? And
so 3 separate times, 12 years total.
Yeah, I did like 2.5.
Because the counterfeiting was originally 15 years, right?
Yeah, it was 105 months. So it carries 20 years, 20-year sentence. They gave me 105 on the second one. But counterfeit technically don't even carry a lot of, what's really crazy is counterfeiting don't really carry a lot of time, right? It's getting caught with equipment and stuff like that gives you the time.
The extra time.
Yeah, so they had never caught me with nothing. It's all conspiracy.
Isn't that it's kind of fucked up, huh?
Yeah.
Because you think about it, the people doing counterfeiting or the fucking, you know, white collar Wall Street shit, you know, like they get 3 years, 4 years, 5, whatever.
Some don't even get nothing.
And some don't even get nothing.
Don't get nothing.
Of course,
look at the
they
mortgage
have,
thing,
the money, you know, they have the
yeah.
money and they pay for it, and you know, they do that shit. But then you got the people struggling on the streets, you know, stealing a loaf of bread or fucking stealing from 7-Eleven. And it starts off with like a day in jail, and then you get caught again, and now it's like 4 days in jail.
Well, when I look back at it, the 105 months got my attention. You know, when you're 21 and you get 2 years, you're working out, reading.
Yeah, you're like, fuck yeah.
Boom, it's done. Oh, man, that wasn't too bad, right? You can get hit again. They give you another 2.5. That's what I got, 36 months. And I rode through that one, you know. And then the third one, though, was, you know, it was a long one. It was where calendars were going by. I was 33 when I got locked up. I got out when I was 40, you know. I felt 30 still, though. You know what I'm saying? I was yoked up, man. I was yoked up when I got out. But, you know, and but prison was, you know, I started in Manchester. They sent me to a medium high because I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Then they shot me over to Big Spring, Texas, because there was a riot and they needed white people, right? And then I got real sick in Big Spring. They locked our prison down with that first SARS they hit, right? That was wild. So the first SARS, the one that everyone's been like bitching about lately, well, the first one in 2009 hit our prison. They locked it down for 6 months, but there was no political unrest. There was the country was in by no means the way it is now.
Yeah,
it's so hyper partisan now, man. It's scary, right? They're weaponizing.
Terrifying.
Yeah, they're weaponizing the courts. They're weaponizing law enforcement. They're weaponizing everything now, right? And the proof is in the pudding when you see Democrats filing Democratic judges' vicinities, and you see Republicans filing Republican judges. The judges go along with that thinking, right?
Yeah.
When a judge should be not either, right? But we've completely lost touch of that. Yeah, it should be neutral, but that hasn't been in a long time, if ever, maybe, you know. But now it's so blatant because social media and the media is so present that we get to see it.
Real time.
Yeah. And then we get to see the
There's
injustice.
No control.
No control. Well, there's no law enforcement right now.
Yeah.
Right? These cats at the top, man, they're walking free, man. They do whatever they want now, man. And there's no one to stop them. Even when so I posted something recently. I love money, right? I printed it, right? But I didn't just love printing it. I love the energy of it, the beauty of it, right? What it can offer, the freedom it can offer.
Yeah.
Right? A person getting, you know, health treatment from it, right? Or you know, saving life treatment. Money could do a lot of good, man, right? But when just a certain amount of people have the majority of it, then that good doesn't get spread around, right? And that's why you have homelessness and prisons and riots and all this stuff, because people are they're upset right now. They're disturbed, right? They're not living right.
Right.
Only a certain few are. And so I became fascinated with the economics of it, how it moves, And so I had just recently read an article on the deficit, how it's grown since World War II, right? History is a magnificent thing if people pay attention to it. And
yeah, but they want to make it disappear.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's a reason why, because when you look at history, Eisenhower said something as the last speech he said, beware of the military complex. Beware of it, right? Nobody really knew what he was saying,
What it meant.
But then you've seen over the years, I think this year it was 800 and something billion was given to military. Right? There isn't even an agency even close. Matter of fact, I think all the other agencies combined don't even amount to 800 billion, almost $1 trillion this year.
Yeah.
When you got schools falling apart, roads falling apart, airports falling apart, you have
roads, schools,
everything, man.
Everything.
Yeah, it's wild what's happening. And then you see all this money being spent on things that you're just not understanding, that you don't personally see. Right? I don't know what's going on in Europe. I don't know what's going on in Asia. They say we have to be safe, but that's the sadness of humanity right now. The fact that more money has to be spent on military to be safe than, say, food or housing, or right. That what should make humanity safe. Homes and abundance and shelter and food and these things. But
we were talking about this earlier, right before we started, and sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to say this.
Yeah.
People say money is the root of all problems, or money is the root of all evil, and it's not. Poverty is the root of all evil, because that's where people rape, kill, steal, hurt each other. Like, people don't fucking get that, And I wanted to tell you that earlier, but
I mean, I lived in the projects. On the south side of Chicago was rough. We had gangs, drugs. I had a culture shock, because we went from the suburbs in Schaumburg. My mom was mentally ill. My dad took off on us, so she didn't know how to take care of us. She ended up in a mental institute. We ended up at we ended up in foster care during that time. And when they gave us back, we had to go to court. She was homeless. She had just got out of the mental institute. She had no home.
Yeah, that's because you guys were going through that, but your father had left, right?
Yeah,
and then your mom was doing everything on her own.
Everything on her own. She couldn't
handle it.
handle
And then you guys became foster children for what?
It was like months? 90 days, I think they put us. And then she got out of the hospital.
What may I ask? What was the reason why? Was it because she was homeless, or did people complain?
She went in. The bipolar episode she had was always
red
religion.
Flags.
Yeah. Well, she ended up coming out the house naked, screaming Jesus was returning. That's really what happened.
Yeah. So neighbors called and fucking said,
took her off.
She's tripping.
Here's 3 kids.
She lost her mind.
Yeah. Here's 3 kids. I think I was 11 at the time. My sister was 10, and my brother was 7.
Yeah.
Boom. They scooped us up
quick. They don't give a fuck.
No. There was no question. And then we didn't have no family.
What year was this? 80s, 90s?
That was like in early 80s, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And because we were in the Salvation Army during the Super Bowl with the Bears, first one, 85. I remember. So it was 84-ish,
That's why football exists, so we can get the timestamp. Who won that Super Bowl?
Kind of keep you in line.
Yeah.
But that was the year that we ended up in the projects. We went from.
And it's so hard for a mother to get her kids back once you go into the system.
Yeah. Well, what this situation was kind of sad. We were homeless, and they gave us back to her. And then they shot us over to the Salvation Army on the north side, and we stayed there for 90 days, and then they put us in the projects on 31st and Halsted. And that's where everything, So you went from the suburbs, little white community, into, south side Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Like in a matter of like
the
that.
Craziest shit ever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my brother, he didn't really make it through it. My sister, she had her issues,
Yeah.
I was shot at 17. I had 6 friends murdered.
The leg, right?
Yeah. I had 6 friends murdered by the time I think I was 20.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I got out of Chicago and went south.
Texas.
Just the gangs were just too much, man. It was just, my neighborhood was mostly like Italian, Irish, Hispanic. And you had the African Americans on the other side. The projects was mixed, of course, but then if you ventured a little bit east, you'd get into an Italian neighborhood,
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, no, that's what made me tough, though.
Of course.
I mean, I was picked on a lot, but then, you learn to not be picked on no more.
Right.
At some point you find your strength, and then you find a way to survive. And I think the streets is what caused, it gave me that desire to survive and to live. Like the first crime, I broke into meters to feed my family. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so it wasn't.
That's bust that out. Like there was no food at home.
Yeah, there was nothing at the house. I had just came home from school, and my mom was crying in the kitchen, and I go open the thing. She said, "I don't know what to do. We have no food.
Nothing in the fridge.
Nothing. I mean, that shit exists.
Yeah, I know.
That shit exists.
Even now.
Yeah,
even now for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so I grabbed my little brother. We hit the street. We're walking down Halston. I'm hitting the meters. Bing, right? Bing. I'm mad. I'm hitting them because I'm mad.
Yeah.
And then I hear the change, I'm saying, wait a minute, there's some money in there. And so me and my brother, we attacked the meter, and we figured it out that there was these two little pins that if you could turn, you could pop it, right? And so we went in the alley, we got a little piece of metal, we made this little thing, and we started popping these meters. I think we got like $80-something, went to Tony's supermarket, dropped a bag of change on the thing, paid for the groceries, took them home. My mom actually spanked me. She sent me upstairs, and she told me, man, true story, she said, son, she goes, God will take care of us. I said, he did. He showed me how to break into the meters.
Yeah, I love that line.
I believed it, right?
Yeah.
I really believed it. And even during my counterfeit times, because I'm a spiritual man, let everyone beat their own. I've experienced some really interesting things in life that let me know that there's something beyond this, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's always kind of guided me even in the criminal world. I always felt like there was something giving me the extra street smart to survive, right? Because a lot of my friends didn't. A lot of my friends didn't make it. Then there were those who did, right? But I always felt like I wanted to be able to be free, right? And so money was the way to be free. To be secure and to be able to do what humans should be doing, which is enjoying living and being good to one another, So even when I was printing money, man, I would give away. I was like Robin Hood, man. We would buy all children's stuff, give it to the Salvation Army because that's the shelter I was in,
Yeah. When did you get the sign of like, okay, this is done? I better not do this.
Man, honestly, man, that just happened like 6 years ago, man.
Get out of here, bro.
Yeah, that's just Well, they say counterfeiting is the most addictive thing if you look it up. Counterfeiting currency is more addictive than heroin. They say the recidivism rate for a counterfeiter, the old school ones, right, was like 90%. It was almost impossible for a counterfeiter to retire.
Yeah.
Right. I've been free 9 years. I'm retired. But about 6 years ago, I was out of prison. It was right when things happened, man. Maybe I was out of prison 2 years ago. So maybe it was 7 years ago. And I had some odd jobs I was doing. I was a janitor down on 6 West Hubbard, man, cleaning toilet bowls. Loved it though, right? $15 an hour. Then
what made you love it?
Because it was my first job.
So
40 years old.
You were proud of it.
I was proud of it.
You were like, okay, I'm doing something.
Yeah. Because I had just got out of prison. This was an old timer.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom, man. And so I'd go to work, man. I'd drive my bike. I didn't even have a car. I'd drive my bike, man, downtown. I loved it, man. I'd smoke it too because I was in great shape when I got out. You know? And I just loved that job. And I did it for like 6 months. Jumped. Started transporting vehicles, which was cool, right? I had the baddest cars ever, but the brokest,
Yeah.
I'd be driving Panamera with $10 in my pocket,
Yeah.
Straight up. But I had the baddest
gas prices.
Yeah. God,
man.
Well, he gave me the car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I did that for about a year. And the cat that I worked for, man, this cat named Jeff Schnakis, he owned the place. And he was kind of like my first mentor since I've been free. So what I absolutely, completely believe the reason I'm sitting here right now with you is because I've had great people along the way that gave me that little bit of lift and that little bit of experience and mentorship along the way.
Yeah.
Right. So even though I was only making like $15 an hour transporting cars, the time I would be spending with my boss, he would be teaching me how to be better, you know? And what was so interesting is
it's like everybody saw potential in you.
Yeah.
And they wanted to show you the way.
Yeah. And him, you know, he was, I used to call him a horse trader, man, because he would be flipping these cars all crazy, you know? And I'd be like, man, show me the game. Show me the game. Don't just let me drive them. I want to know how to flip these cars like this.
Yeah.
And he never would. He would never show me. He said, this ain't what you're supposed to be doing. This ain't your life. If I show you, you'll be stuck here.
Yeah.
Man, I used to get mad at him about that. Because, you know, I'd see these other cats, man, making $3,000-$4,000 a week sometimes.
You're like,
man.
fuck, I want that.
Like, that's what I want. I don't want to be doing $15 an hour driving all over, you know? But he wouldn't, you know? And so I eventually left that, and then I went and delivered liquor for Wart's Liquors, man, 500 cases every morning with them young bucks. Did that for like, man, I did that for a minute, and then I gave up. I said, man, $15 an hour ain't doing it.
Yeah, reality hit you.
Reality hit me. So I was trying.
You're barely making rent.
I had to have a roommate. I couldn't even make rent on my own, you know? And so, you know, I got to the point, man, where I was just like, man, how do they do this? And one thing it did for certain, man, is it gave me a whole new respect for the working man, you know? It showed me, man, like, damn, people work hard, man, to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
especially when somebody's like crossing the border, risking their life.
Yeah.
And then they're living 4 or 5 people in a
house. Yeah.
And they're sending like half their paycheck back home, wherever they're sending it to. And you're like, fuck, like this is it's
tough.
It's fucking tough.
Yeah.
But I actually, it hit me harder because I was doing a project in Tahana Hills in Arizona. And that's where like the main Caterpillar company, you know, the construction site.
Yeah.
We were doing some filming out there. And on one day of the shootings, I had to like drive out, and I actually saw somebody that was crossing the border.
Wow.
Dead. Damn. Like he was just under the shade in a sleeping position, and it just looks like he found a place for shelter and never woke up. And I was like, fuck. And when police came, anyways, they came back 2-3 days later, and they said, this guy was like from Guatemala. So he went from Guatemala all the way through Mexico, all the way up. He was probably walking in the same socks and shoes they were saying for fucking 6 weeks, 7 weeks. And the fucked up part is like 10 minutes max, there was a fucking little river, a lake kind of thing with water, you know, and they say it was dehydration. But yeah, this is happening every fucking day.
Right now it's happening. Yeah, real bad problem now, you know. But yeah, so working, so I realized, you know, that at that, so I came to the point, man, where I was like, man, I can't do this no more. Pay my child support, you know, paying my rent, you know, and so, you know, I started to go down a road that wasn't good. You know, I started to look into things that weren't good. What was interesting though, and probably one of the things that saved my life, was that from the time I went to prison, offset printing had been going out. They were bringing everything digital, right? And all the offset equipment was being sold off to like Colombia and like overseas, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was nothing but digital. So when I was attempting to look into, you know, maybe going back into that world, I couldn't find none of the equipment. It was gone, right? So I went on this crazy ass, like, you know, wild, you know, goose hunt, man, looking for this and looking for that, and literally like rebuilding shit, you know. And my son busted me, who I was in prison with,
Right. No, because we're forward. I kind of want to back this up.
Let's back up.
I want to back up because let's go back to, I think it was Chicago. Yeah. And in Chicago, you got into trouble and you needed an adult to come look for you.
Yeah.
And your mom couldn't get there.
Nah, she was working as waitress at Ed's Snack Shop.
She's back to normal. She's working.
So she go through her stints,
Right.
Like, she go through her moments. Right. She's off her
But
medicine.
you got in trouble for what?
Stealing a car. Yeah.
Okay, so you stole the car. Yeah. Now you need an adult to get you out. Your mom couldn't make it. Yeah. So
she sets one of her friends up, an Italian guy from the neighborhood.
Italian?
Yeah.
Okay, so this Italian guy comes and picks you up, and he's already seen you in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he knows me.
And he figures out he's kind of almost disappointed you stole a car.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, but let's start right there because that's like the beginning.
When he first brought me into his world of printing money, it was fascinating for sure as a kid, right? But through those, it wasn't a long time. It happened only was probably for like a year, 9 months to a year that I got to spend with him before he disappeared. And during that time, it was so much more than watching this master print money. It was him teaching me things, again, where I came back to say, since I've been out of prison, I've had good men in my life to show me things. So
discipline, organization,
persistence.
Like the changing. You had to change the serial numbers on each thing. Everything. Like you had to tape. Like
he didn't do that. Yeah. He didn't do it like I did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, when I was learning with him, like he changed the serial numbers, but it might have been like 9 or 12, right? Because you got to change the plate every time you change the numbers, right? You only could do 3 at a time, right? So, and with plates, it's complicated, man. You got the inks and everything. So a lot of counterfeiters aren't really interested in changing the serial numbers when you're doing a full offset press run. Now, so he was doing the 85, which was an old note, right? Didn't have the watermark, didn't have none of that stuff, right? When he disappeared later on down, when the 1996 note came out, that's when I got active
That's
again.
When you got that's when you mastered it.
Yeah, and I took the things he taught that I watched from him, the plates, the inks.
What year was that?
That was like probably like 89, 90. Okay. So 89, somewhere like 87.
And then 96, I think 96. Everybody remembers.
Yeah, the big
they changed that $100 bill.
For about 5 years, I was just a rough rat, man. I was an alley cat, man, on the south side, right? And when I left Chicago when I was like 20, 21.
To Texas, right?
To Texas. And went down there, and that's when the 96 came out, and that's when I started to get back into it. But
so and then just for the listeners, so the 96 in 1996, the U.S. federal government released a new bill, and this is where it was the metallic or
the shifted ink, the watermarks,
new watermarks, were the double face
marked with the pen.
This was like their way of saying nobody can make this.
Exactly.
And you were like, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
And
I was challenge accepted.
You're like, challenge accepted.
Let's do this shit.
And then you had your girl.
My girl, she was brilliant.
Yeah, you had your girl, and she was like, "Let's fucking do this." Yeah, and that's when you guys start. So when you take a project like this, the first thing you start off with is the paper, right?
Yeah.
So and I know the story of the paper, but it's just so fucking great. So how did you guys?
So when we started, the first thing I knew is you had to get that paper to mark because everyone was using the pen.
Yeah.
Right?
That was the thing.
No, they didn't even look at it.
Especially then because we didn't have the machines to like fucking scan it or anything. That was the only...
And even the machines, even those early machines they did have, you could break them. Right?
Yeah.
You get past them, So we're looking for the paper. We're ordering paper from everywhere, man. I mean, and back then it was yellow pages, right? You didn't have the internet wasn't like super big. It was more like university shit, And so
in some universities, not even everywhere yet.
Yeah. But we were just looking for the paper, Finally, we couldn't, nothing was marking. Nothing was working.
So you guys ordered all over the place.
For real, I probably ordered every freaking piece of paper on the planet. For real, sample paper.
Did you guys call, was it all in the United States you were ordering?
No, we were ordering stuff from Canada, from Germany, man, bro, like everywhere
in the world.
Wherever they made paper, we wanted to know what their sample was.
Yeah.
And we'd call one place, they'd give us the number to another one, and it just kind of was like,
yeah. And no luck. You couldn't.
Nothing. All negative, right? I even was getting crazy, man. Like, I was even taking paper and dipping in acids and shit. Man, I never told anyone that shit, but yeah. Like, it started the house on fire, man. Don't put acid in aluminum.
Don't touch acid, period. Fuck acid.
Yeah. And don't think that you can put paper in it.
Yeah.
Crazy shit, man.
I
was on some nutty stuff. I was trying to figure out how to make paper. But
you were desperate. Challenge accepted.
Wanted to get it. Yeah. It didn't matter. And then she was, she started screaming at me, waving the phone book at me, and she slams it down and she goes, "Not one piece, Mark, nothing, Mark."
She's pissed, man.
Super pissed. Oh yeah, no, she's out of control. And bam, she marked it, and it fucking marked yellow.
The fucking phone book?
Yeah, yellow. It marked perfect. Now, where it got interesting is not only did it mark yellow, but it was so thin. If you remember, phone book paper, it was very thin, right? I got the idea. I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe we could put two of these together and put the watermark and the strip in between.
Got it. That's how you put the strip inside. Got it.
And then it worked. It took a minute to figure it out.
So right? you just ripped the pages off that book right there?
Well, no.
Then you acquired.
Then we went and got that was a whole nother situation. We found where they printed yellow books. She'd go over there, pretend like she's a teacher. She wanted to do a project. This is what was so amazing, though. We come to find out at that time, directory paper was the most. It was a commodity, right? And it was the most produced paper product on the planet. Directory paper. So money, right? And it was the cheapest. You could get it super cheap, right? So money, which is the most powerful instrument, was being made with the paper that is most abundant.
But nobody knew. So
bizarre, right?
So bizarre, especially the printing companies doing those directories. They have ink. They have everything.
So, and then it went from, I learned that the digital printing at the time, which didn't have none of the shit that it has now, right? Matter of fact, I'm most definitely probably one of the reasons why all the security features are on computers and digital printers. Matter of fact, what I seen happen
is there digital security in printers?
There is now. Yeah, even your computer. If you try to print money off your computer, man, the Secret Service gets notified immediately, right? So everything's watched now. Everything, just try to scan a $100 bill and see what happens, right? So a little thing's gonna pop up now. Used to not be like that, but before, you probably remember a long time ago, you used to be able to go buy your software and you would put it into your computer, and then you could work all. You didn't have to be online to work. You had the software in there. When I got out this time, when I was looking to, possibly do something again, I was blown away by how technology had evolved and how, like, even now, if you want to use your Microsoft Windows or whatever, you had to be online and you had to get the updates.
Yeah.
Right. So you see those updates all the time.
And they got your serial number. They got your IP address.
There's nothing you could do now. There's nothing you could do now, right? And so a lot of that came from when people who were breaking the law. I'm sure there were more than just myself who was using technology back then, but the Secret Service for sure had implementations in it into the stuff now, which I even think caused technology to evolve into where everything's hooked up now. Because before you could have your computer and it was your computer.
Yeah. And you
just
could work
like
offline.
Work offline. Just back in the day, you had PrimeCo, and it was your phone.
What was PrimeCo?
You don't remember PrimeCo?
No, man.
Oh man, that was great, man. It was only 80, yeah.
What was PrimeCo?
It was a
cell phone.
Cell phone, man.
I remember PrimeCo.
PrimeCo, man. It was like the early one.
I remember the McDonald's fucking Nokia phone.
Yeah, the
like
Nokia,
$20 donation.
We're going even before that, man. PrimeCo was like, but it was your phone.
Yeah.
Now everything is, constant update, constantly invasion, So the game is dead now, and it's going to be dead anyway because crypto and digital is about to take over, and currency. People don't believe me when I tell them, but currency is about to be gone.
Yeah,
for sure.
It only makes sense, especially with all the stuff going on in Russia and Ukraine, and China's like, what? And you're going to pull out Starbucks and what? The American dollar? Okay, let's change this shit.
Change it. It's about to all change, man. And then they're going to reset the debt. Watch what I tell you. That's why they don't care about spending money right now.
Yeah,
30 trillion, right?
Yeah, I know. LA right now, I just read an article. They're going to spend $900 million to build a metro to LAX.
Just makes me wonder where they get this money at, man.
$900 million to build a metro. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but it's going to be. I do believe that when the digital takes over, you're going to see a complete reset.
But is that safe, man?
The world's going to split. You're going to see China and Russia have one side of the world. You're going to see America.
Yeah, but this digital currency, because we're talking about like in a perfect
what scares
world,
the shit out of me?
As long as we have electricity, we're good. But like, what if we like lose all our power? Like, I know it sounds crazy, but
for me, it doesn't sound crazy because I thought I wouldn't see a pandemic and the country lockdown. I thought I wouldn't see the whole country riot, right? I thought I wouldn't see some of the things I just seen in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, we went right from a pandemic to a war, right? So humanity hasn't really had any rest at all, right? Our minds have been consumed with tragic things, man, nonstop. That's what I find tragic in the world right now. And as an artist who's an empath, like I feel things, right? The world feels broken, man. And a lot of it has to do with agendas, man. And those agendas aren't peaceful right now, unfortunately, right? So when the digital happens, what gets me concerned about it is programmable currency, they call it, right? To where it's kind of like what people use with their little, I don't know, was it EBT cards or whatever, welfare,
like
food stamps?
Yeah, the food stamps.
Is that what it's called? Whatever.
EBT,
something like that. So it's programmable.
Benefit.
That's a form of programmable currency, right?
Yeah.
They could only buy certain things with that card, right? That's what's going to happen, right? That's what gets me nervous about. That's what has me nervous about digital currency right now. Is when the Fed issues their digital dollar, but it's programmable, which means that, hey, maybe they don't want you buying a handgun no more. Okay, boop. Now you can't buy shit, right? Maybe they won't. Nope, cigarettes are gone. Now you can't buy cigarettes, Or say cigarettes are legal in California, but they're illegal in California, but legal in Texas, right? So in Texas, you could buy cigarettes, but as soon as you cross the line in California, your money don't work. That's what's scary.
That's fucking wild.
Right? And that's what's going to happen.
I never even thought of that.
Oh, yeah. Just look up.
Like,
programmable currency to me is the absolute form of tyranny. Right? Because right now, you have, there could be somewhat privacy, not really much anymore because people mostly use Zelle and Venmo and stuff like that, right? But you still have cash, right? So if I want to give you $100, I go give you $100. Nah, people just do Venmo now, right?
Yeah.
But there was a time when you could just give someone some money. Well, they said, well, what you hiding? Well, maybe I don't want someone to know that I bought something.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about hiding. It's just, I learned that when people know what you have, they tend to want it. Right? So for me, the programmable thing is, like, you look what happened up in Canada, man, when those truckers protested. Whether you believe in it or not, who cares, right? I'm just saying the protest. And no one got killed. There was no bombs blown up. They were just protesting a vaccine, right?
What was that protest?
The vaccine mandate. The truckers didn't want to do a vaccine mandate.
Right.
But that's not what got me nervous about it, right? Whether what side you're on, pro, no, whatever, you know, what got me nervous is what happened afterwards. You know, there was a waitress who donated $50 to the trucker that was working in the town, and they seized her account and froze it. This is a waitress with 3 kids, right? It was on the news for like one day, then it vanished, right? But what got me nervous about that, I said, damn, if they could freeze a waitress's money, man, they could freeze anyone's money, right? And then you started to see with the whole war where there's season. It's almost like they're getting people accustomed to hearing sanctioned, seized assets, right? That's what programmable currency will allow, right? If you ain't doing immediately, just a press of a button, man.
Yeah.
And
it kind of happens now with credit cards.
Oh, yeah.
Like somebody's fucking around. They're like, shut the credit
shut
cards
it off.
Like,
well, even if not, I've had my account shut down for not doing just because I tried to buy something. So, you know.
What do you mean you try to buy something?
I tried to buy something big for a couple grand and they locked it up. You know, I had to do all the calling and, you know. So,
yeah.
You know,
everybody's been through
everyone's been through it, right? But imagine you go through it and you can't unlock it.
Which that happens too.
Yeah.
Fucking,
right.
Yeah.
So for me, man, I think that, you know, of course the government has the right to know, you know, they have a certain level to understand what you're making, right? But now everything that you spend is going into an algorithm. Yeah. Right? So even like we could have our phones on, man, we could start talking about something and that ad will pop up on it.
That's a fucking trip.
Well, that is an invasion of privacy that hasn't been checked because there's been no public debate on social platforms.
Yeah.
See, what's happening is technology is outperforming us, right? Whether it's currency or even AI now, they're saying AI is now creating new AI. That's wild, right? So something that we created is now on its own, creating on its own AI. I just read the article about it a couple days ago.
I read about that a while back.
It's wild.
Yeah. Or there's certain things that are so complex that we can't do that we can teach something to program it, and it is continuously doing it at a rate that we don't even comprehend.
We don't even know what's happening.
Like right? We don't know what the back agenda is.
And so for me, you know, but it, like I said, man, we're getting way off into this crazy.
This stuff. Let's jump back. Let's jump back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to. She slams the yellow page book,
man,
marks it, and it's fucking yellow.
Yeah, dog.
Because it's usually brown or something.
Black, like brownish black, you know. And
so it's yellow. So now what's the next step?
And
then it's so thin.
We could, so it basically, it solved a bunch of problems. The watermark, the strip, and the pen. And then I got real creative.
Well, the watermark, and again, I know you've probably had this conversation multiple times, but the watermark is a special paint that they added in 1996 that you had to find out.
Yeah,
how to.
Well, that's the little thing on the bottom. That little thing.
On the right bottom corner. So you were like, how the fuck do you do this?
Yeah, that's car paint. Yeah. House of Color. Yeah, right out here, dog.
But
right here, you know.
Remember, I'm a publicist, man.
Yeah, right out here. Dog.
So the way you came up on that was you were walking down the street and you saw a car.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
And you're like, they had that metallic purple, greenish.
Yeah. And then went and hunted that down, you know. It was all, you know, for me, like I said, when in the beginning you asked me it's just a curious creator. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm going to start introducing myself, a curious creator, because just always curious. And the
curious creator. I'm going to put that on the main title. Go ahead, I'm listening. Right? I like that.
You know, because, you know, that's what starts experimentation, to be curious and say, oh man, how can I do this? And then I think when I look back at it, I think the one thing that fascinated me the most about the journey when I was printing money was how I used things that no one would have ever used to make it.
Yeah.
Car paint, directory paper, you know, like just things just so like obvious, common and obvious. Yet I was able to take those things and mix them together and then create something, an instrument that I could use, you know? And I do that now with my art, right? Same thing. My art, I'm always experimenting with new things, with new canvases, with new materials, with, So it's just taking that, that curiosity, man, and applying it to something.
How do you think you kept that? And what I mean by that is, we naturally are like that as children. Mm-hmm. As children, we're like, what if I use a red marker on the floor and what this texture on my mama's couch? But they're just experimenting, What if I grab the sand and throw it in the bed? And it's a beautiful thing, especially if you start accepting it. You let your kid experiment. Yeah. But obviously we're in a society no, you can't do that. And what did you do to my couch? And what did you do to the walls? And we're in this society that's just so, especially the 80s, 90s. I being children back then was difficult. Yeah. What do you think? Because I mean this in a great way. Yeah. But your curiosity, it sounds like that child's innocent mind of you. It doesn't seem
I'm a big old kid, bro.
Yeah, it's not like you were I'm gonna fuck over the world. I need money and get my gang big and fuck. No, you were fuck it. Why? Yeah. Why does that work? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Why do you still have that?
And
what makes you that way?
I think growing up hard. Right? I grew up really hard, and so. My escape was my imagination. I always had a real vivid imagination when I was young, right? When my mom would go into her mental state, when my dad left, when my friends got killed, whatever it might have been that was real hard, 9 months in a single cell, right? I would let my mind just go, and it kept me safe, right? It would take me to places that were imaginary, but were safe for me at that time, And so I even when I was, so I think, like I said, I think just childhood and just the tough things in my imagination keeping me safe allows me to still see, like I tell people, I stop and smell a flower, man. I look up all the time. I'm always looking up, right? I told someone yesterday, I said, how many times you've been driving down the road and you've seen something that really dazzled you and you're like, wow, that's really cool, but you kept going. I stopped.
Always.
But I said, stop. The next time that happens, don't keep going, even if you're in a rush. Force yourself to stop and go find out what just dazzled you, right? So I think being in this state of mind for so long, it's like a habit.
Yeah.
You think positive.
But how did you maintain that? Because like I said, society's going to be like, don't stop, go to work. Don't stop, do this. Yeah. Hey, stop thinking, stop wondering why. Well, just fucking do your job.
I was a criminal, so I didn't listen well. You know what I'm saying?
How many years, this is a weird question. How many years did you actually work for somebody, under somebody? What percentage?
2 years.
In your whole life, 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
So you did the mopping thing,
the mopping, the transporting, and the liquor. That was it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't have that employee, and you have to be at work at this time. You have to be out at that time. And what about schooling?
Didn't graduate, but I've read 1,000 books. I probably read. I've read a lot of books. Read probably 10,000 magazines.
What grade did you get up to?
9th. Got kicked out.
Grade.
There was a riot.
Fights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a couple friends got stabbed. They kicked us out. My school was rough. It was like some straight up shit from see on the movies, man. Kelly High School was no chump back then, man. The gangs, you had gangs on every floor. Some wild shit, man. And I got double promoted though. That's what happened to me. I was actually in 7th grade in the beginning, and they made me take some tests, and they said, "Man, you don't belong in here. You need to." They wanted to put me in. I scored 12.9 on everything or something.
Yeah.
So they threw me in high school, and we had just moved from the suburbs, and to the south side, and now you throw me in a Chicago high school. I was little, man. I was a little skinny white dude, man. You know what I'm saying? And but I had but I had good friends though. You know what I'm saying? But it was gangs, and they were my family. That's who I rode with. That leads
to more problems too.
Oh, it did lead to more problems, all kinds of problems, But yeah, man, the school was wild. It was a wild place, man. Tough times, But
Schools are difficult, man. Even now,
it's just what happened, man, with that crazy,
especially
shit.
With that whole social media thing and the fucking bullying, and then the shootings.
Well, you know what? It's speaking of that. I again, public debate, right?
Yeah.
Social platforms. There hasn't been no serious studies on it. I mean, they're starting to now, right? But I truly believe, especially with the way that the algorithms work, that you could literally program a person. Now, people think that's crazy, but we see it happen all the time with somebody. If you put 3 people in a room, one who watches CNN all day long, one who watches Fox News all day long, and then one who probably just kind of strolls through it, right? You will see a difference in their attitudes.
Yeah, of course.
Right? This one will be hypersensitive to things. Ask them, how many hours a day do you watch CNN? I know some people that keep that shit on all day long, man.
Yeah.
And then have a conversation with them. And it's almost as if they're telling you and talking to you about things that they just listen to all fucking day long.
Yeah.
And it's on both sides,
it's just feeding them, of course.
It's just feeding them.
Yeah,
so
you got CNN, you got the Fox.
Yeah. So I believe that there's ways to program people by influencing them. We see it with marketing, right? You see a red on the commercial, red. There's a reason they're doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So it
like
sticks
in
in
the
your
old
head.
school in the movies, somebody would smoke a cigarette and there'd be a sign that says smoking, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking smoke.
So how to think that they're not doing that with social media?
No,
we know they're doing it.
Of course.
We know they're doing it. I know when I pop open my feed, they're sending me things that they think that I'm going to like. And then they could feed.
Hey, you open up my feed, I got a bunch of motorcycles. Yeah. Motorcycles, guns, motorcycles. What the fuck are they?
Now, if you started reading a bunch of stuff on, shootings and stuff like that, you'll start. That shit's going to pop up. So whoever's the gatekeeper of this shit, they have to be more careful. Right? Because humans are so susceptible to things. And we haven't really, I don't think, even close. Technology is outperforming humanity right now. I totally see that happening, right? With everything. With cars, with AI, with social media, everything, right? I mean, you got to think about it. Just 100-something years ago, we were riding horses, man.
Yeah, there's this thing that...
Like we were
a little older.
Maybe a little older, but maybe 150 years.
But there's a thing that goes, when cars came out, rich people had cars, poor people had horses.
Yeah.
Now, rich people have horses and poor people have cars. Yeah. And that's another thing with food. This is like the first time in the existence of man that the poor are fat.
Yeah.
Well, the poor people are fat. That's never happened, ever.
It's always the royal.
It's always the royal that had access
Everyone
to
thinks
that
the queen looked beautiful. The queen, she was
Yeah,
plumpy.
there was a time. Because it was so different. But now think about that, man. It's the first time we're like...
And then what's really bizarre...
The amount of food that's available, too.
Think about this, though. Even more bizarre is we have so much food on this planet, yet a quarter of it is starving.
Is it a quarter?
It's a lot.
I would say it's like a third, no?
Is it third? Is it higher?
It's like a third that are starving.
Yeah, so think about that. We got.
I don't know. I wish I had somebody to look that up.
Yeah, but I think it's like in that area, quarter, third, whatever. Yeah. There's a chunk of population in this world who are technically don't have food.
Yeah.
So and yet we have all these resources. So it just shows you the imbalance in the world today, man. Just everything. There's a lot of imbalance, and that's the thing that I love about art, right? Like right now, I'm getting ready to do some new collections, right? I've been professional artist for 6 years now. Everything is connected to money. I still get to make money, man. You know what I'm saying? I love it, dog. You know what I'm saying? Still get to do what I love, right? But I'm starting to see my art take a change, right? I want it to document this time of history, right? That's what the artist is for, right? And I don't mean just artist, painter, but rather it's the musician, the actress, the actor, the artist, man. The publisher, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that there's that 1,000 years of creation, right? The next 1,000 years is of peace and creation and harmony, right? new Renaissance, I call it, where the people who truly care about creation are the ones who are tending creation. Right now it's tyrants and military and all, and certain individuals, But I do believe that there will be a change of guard, right? That people who truly love people will be ruling over those people.
Yeah.
That's what humanity's been missing, the leaders, regardless of who they are, they tend to show an interest in their own lives. And it's a natural human instinct, so I'm not going to fault them for it, right? But I do think that our minds will evolve enough, hopefully, through art, through expression, that we have that moment, man, where humanity actually reigns in peace with the earth, rather than just trampling on it. That's what art is for me, anyway.
That's the expression that you're delivering through your art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for.
Now, is there? I'm going to jump back, and then I want to go back to the art. But so you started printing money. You figured it out.
Figured it out.
And then you were doing this for
a long time, almost 10 years. I mean, it's
just printing money.
Printing money, spending it, traveling.
Now, I get what you do with the personal aspect of the money you keep, right? Like spend it, travel, buy shit, whatever. But do you sell money? Or do people sell money? Like, answer this however you want to answer. But
oh no, they sell it. I've sold plenty, man.
I
sold a lot of it. Just
like what's the rate? Like
I was getting 30 cents on the dollar. Right?
You were getting 30 cents.
My money was.
What's the point? Well, I guess.
Well, if I walk in with 100,000, you give me 30 cash. Right.
You were happy with that.
Yeah, because that was the real. That's what I wanted, Because my money, I never used it.
30%.
Oh yeah, it's good. But I never used my money for personal things like rent or payments or anything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't like giving it. I didn't like
to people you knew you would see again.
No, yeah, or even even family members.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted something, I'd want to give them the real, right? I wanted to keep it as less connected to me as possible.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even like spending it in the same town that I lived in, That was like a no-no. Yeah, that was like a no-no, The key was the least, I didn't want people to know what I was doing. I was a ghost, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that shit was like, broadcasted, man. I dealt with.
You were low key. You were
real low key. Even now, I stay low key.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super low key back then. But when I started
with your artwork now and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still don't blast it out there. I don't sell it online. It's still kind of a personal thing. You got to get near me to get it. Which could be shitty sometimes. Because you want to sell it, but I've learned to sit back, right, and wait for that moment. And it was the same way with the money. When the money was ready, I'd bring it. I mean, the selling of the money is when things started to go.
How do you find people for that too? Like, did you really have hookups?
So for me, I used to play ball a lot, basketball, and I'd go play ball in Ukrainian village. I'd go play ball on the south side with the brothers. Man, I'd go into Pilsen and play with the Hispanics. Man, I went everywhere to play.
Yeah,
I wasn't, even though Chicago was really racially divided, I had friends from all the different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I played ball with them, And years later, when I went back to Chicago.
So when you went to Texas.
Yeah, started doing my thing.
Then you went back. Okay, you figured it out in Texas.
Figured it out in Texas, then went back to Chicago after a little run through the country, Decided I was tired of traveling. I was tired of spending money. I was tired of, you get tired of it, actually.
Yeah.
It's crazy, I mean, the very beginning, you're spending and you're buying for yourself, right? And before long, you got so many shoes and pants. It's like, okay. And then you're traveling with a trunk load of merch, right? So, if you get pulled over, they're going to see this trunk load there. And then you got cash, 5s, 10s, 1s, right? So then I devised a system. I said, man,
why'd you have 5, 10,
because
ones?
You're cracking a hundo, right? You're cracking 100.
So you're cracking the hundo. So you'd go crack it. So that'd be your change and stuff.
That'd be a change. So you get a 50 or 70.
You never made anything under $100. That's just.
I mean, there was times I played around with other denominations to learn shit to get to the 100. But when I had once I cracked that, it was just 100.
Why the fuck?
Why would I do anything else?
That's stupid.
Right. And so the beginning of it was just going and spending, hit a mall, rock that mall, get things. Then it went to the phase of buying things for your friends and family. And then that got old, right? And then people started to expect it.
Yeah, because people don't appreciate it anymore.
Yeah, they don't appreciate it when you give it. Yeah, when you give something away, it's not as appreciative as when someone earns it.
Right.
And so we got away from that, and that's when we started.
That's fucking disgusting, huh? That mentality.
Human nature, man. Human nature is an interesting thing, man. And then the next thing was we just bought things for kids, and that was the purest of the crime, right? Some people say, "Oh, you did it to justify." No, I really love buying shit for kids, man.
Yeah.
I really love that. I grew up in Salvation Army. We were in Salvation Army, man. If I could help a kid that was sitting there get something real nice, man, it'll make his day. And so we went on a, Robin Hood journey, man, just doing that. And then that got old, right? All the traveling, all the movement, even though I was hiking and climbing because I'm a big outdoors guy. Love to hike, love to do, And then that's when I went into, okay, let's go back to Chicago. Started hooking up with people that I grew up with, I used to play ball with. Now these dudes, they're in their own criminal element. So I reached the top really quick. Even now, I always reach the top fast, man. I don't know what it is, regardless of what I'm doing.
Blessed, man.
Yeah, I meet
Blessed.
I meet the people. I meet the people that are needed for me to do where I'm trying to go, right?
Yeah.
And so right away, I grew up in a gangster neighborhood. All my friends, their fathers or cousins or something, everyone was connected in some way. And so then I started selling money, and that's when things started getting out of control. Right? That's when the money was coming in a manner to where it was almost like water.
Yeah.
And again, it comes
like
back
a fucking open faucet.
Just pouring out, man. You're burying the shit. You're doing all kinds of shit with it. I probably still got money buried out there. You know what I'm saying? With my treasury raffle one day, But, I mean, it just...
You were burying it?
Oh, hell yeah. Because what are you going to do with it? Put it in your wall? Put it in your bed?
No, of course, yeah.
I mean...
Especially back then.
Back then, yeah. So it's just like... Money becomes... it doesn't feel real again.
Yeah.
That where I come back where shit just don't feel real sometimes. Where everything's just fake, And but life sputtered out of control, man. Young with that type of, grew up poor, right? And that's when my problems occurred, and that's when I ended up going to prison, and then,
Now part of the reason that you went to jail that I had a little bit of an understanding was your son.
That was
your
the
dad.
second time.
The first time.
First time was with my pops. I got into.
And your pops, you mean your stepdad? Or
my real dad.
Or your real dad. So you reconnected with him.
I reconnected with him like 22 years later, man.
And you forgave him.
I forgave him. And then he was in Alaska. Went up to Alaska.
That's fucking hard. That must have been difficult for him too.
Yeah. And it was a trip, man.
That's funny because the episode before this was all about Alaska.
Oh, I love it up there. Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Ended up going to Seward County Jail up there, man. Hell of a county jail, man.
Man.
Oh, gosh, hellhole. Food's the worst food on the planet, man.
Cold as fuck, I
Cold,
imagine.
yeah. But, I went up there, man, and what do you know? My dad was growing weed. He was a weed grower. But before anyone was doing that shit.
Yeah.
Like Alaska.
Everybody's fucking.
Yeah, like Northern Lights and shit like that back in the day. He was really doing it. And he took me to his little spot. He had some trailers built underground with this crazy ass mylar, where they couldn't see the heat, and he tapped into the electrical. So my dad was pretty brilliant himself, man. He had
So it's fucking genetic.
Yeah, criminal brilliance, right? So he shows me his, right? Takes me into this underground grow. And then so I show him mine, you know? And I call it the gold fever, man. You know, anytime people would see the 100 and they'd look at it and hold it up and, man, this is fake. Called gold fever. Now all of a sudden they're like, damn, this dude can print this shit. And my dad did the same thing. And we ended up going to prison.
He started printing.
He got me going. I actually went up there to stop.
Yeah.
I was ready to quit, man.
Yeah, but you saw fucking harvesting and weed and underground, Alaska.
And it was my dad, you know. It's like, you know, let's ride, you know. And it was a disaster. We all went to prison.
What happened?
You know,
On the first one.
On the first one, I gave him some money. He gave it to his wife who hated me, a niece. That's the reason he took off. She hated me. She hated the fact that I found him. And now he was trying to, he really loved me. He felt bad. I could tell he felt bad that he left, you know. The first situation we had when I went up there, he took me one day. He had like a sled dogs. He loved sledding. Did I did a ride and all that shit.
Yeah.
And so when I went there, man, he had like shit, man. I don't know, 40 dogs. He had some acres out in Chickaloon. It was like 50 miles west of Anchorage, and so one morning we went into town to get dog food, and I'm helping him load this dog food up, and he paid for it. It was like $880, man. It was a lot of dog food.
That's a lot of dog food.
It was a lot of dog food,
like
dog.
That's
I'm
like
talking
extra.
about like 20 freaking bags, man. It was a lot. We were loading, right? Big 50-pound bags, man.
Right.
You know. And we're in the truck. I'm like, man, them dogs eat a lot when we're driving back. And he's like, yeah, that's what I spend every month. And I'm like, right away, I'm thinking, damn, me and my brother and sister grew up with shit, man. And here
like
you've been
nothing.
feeding these dogs, man,
$800
a month. We could have lived great with $800 a month down in the projects, man.
Yeah.
And I got pissed, man. I started screaming, yelling at him. He stopped the truck. I jumped out. It was right on the side of the Chickaloon River. I'll never forget, man, because I was the way that river was rushing is how I felt inside with anger, man. I wanted to kill. I grabbed him around his throat, started strangling him. I finally let him go, and it was just one of them moments, man. You know? We never really recovered from that. You know, shortly after that, I ended up going back to Texas, and the Secret Service came down on him because I had gave a bunch of the money to his wife, or to him, and he gave it to his wife, and she had some people spending it.
And it was a small town.
Alaska, really, man. And like, they're not going to figure this out.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like a fucking population of
nothing. And they figured it out, and they ended up grabbing me. She said, you know, turn me in, all that shit.
Mm.
My dad ended up going to prison for guns. He was found in possession of a firearm. He went to Sheridan Federal Penitentiary. I went to Waseca. We started writing each other, man, and, you know, and trying to rekindle, you know, like this, man, let's get this right when we get out, man.
So you don't hold any grudges against anybody, really.
Anybody, man. I learned, you know, one of the things I learned. So I got these gangster parables, man. I might do a collection of art, man. One day, just gangster parables, like nothing.
Make
good.
an NFT collection.
Yeah, gangster parables, man. You know, well, even regular, but like nothing good happens after midnight. You know, like at 11:59, Artie disappears, man. For real, I do too. I'm real weird about certain things, you know, but or see how a man treats his woman, and he'll treat you the same.
Yeah.
Right? Go to dinner. Watch how he treats his wife. Show her respect. Does he treat her good? This is the woman he lays down next to. And I've literally walked away from people. You ever been in a dinner and act weird? So anyway, just different parables, you know. And so for me and my dad, we were talking about getting out. He ended up dying on the day I got out.
He ended up dying the day you got out the first time.
The first time, yeah. So here we are getting to know each other.
May you rest in peace.
Yeah. And the day I got out, man, he died of a heart attack. You know, it was a trip. It was a trip.
Was he still in jail at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, he died in jail.
Yeah, he died in jail, man. It was a tough one, you know. And then not even like a month later, my ex girl who I had a son with, she was a Chicago police officer. She drops, my kid was trying to make money at her house off her little printer. And she
he was 17 at the time?
Yeah, he was probably like 13 then, 14.
13, he's trying to print out money. But
like,
where'd he get that idea from? Like he knew or? No, but did he know?
I mean, he didn't know, not then, but I mean, I was famous for printing, you know.
So he knew.
So he knew that his dad was, so he wanted to be like his dad. And then I went on a 3-year journey with that kid, man. And we went through all kinds of shit, you know. And when he was 16, I got locked back up for the money.
Now that's another one that I want to get clarification on. You guys had a big fight.
Big one. Yeah.
You guys had a big fight, and all I know is that something about cops showed up. You guys are fighting, and there's money everywhere.
There's money.
Like what took place there?
Well, me and him had been struggling. You know, here I am trying to raise this kid. I'm fresh out the joint, so I don't have my shit together. You know. And the one thing we connected with was music. He was really talented musically, man. You know? And I was trying to get him into it. And one of my boys knew Johnny K, who produced Disturbed. And so I was getting him in one of the best studios, but it cost money. Shit wasn't cheap. They weren't doing it for free, you know? And it looked like this is before all the Mac Miller, all the white rappers. The only white rapper at the time was Eminem. You know, and my son, he had it, you know, plus he was from the streets with, you know, his dad was me, you know, whatever. And we had all the right people around him. And so I started getting back into, you know, crime so I could pay for this thing. And he knew what I was doing. And so there was a part of him that didn't mind. And then there was a part of him that kind of hated me for it because that's what took me from him. Yeah. And I think that's what caused him to he didn't want to do the music no more. And so I was actually out of town. I came in and there he was with his friends printing, you know, $20 bills, bullshit. Ran outside. I kicked him out. I ran outside. We're fighting on the street. He throws them at me. The cops are there. Bam, you know. And that was it, man. And my indictment literally is one paragraph. So here it is, all these years, man, doing this shit. Even the shit with my dad. And now it was kind of like the curse, right? My dad died on the day that I got out of prison. What a strange phenomenon. He leaves me for 22 years. And then we end up going to prison for the money that he wanted me to get back into. And he dies. Now here it is a few years later. And now the same thing. But it's with my son. You know, it just felt like a strange curse, you know.
When you went to jail, they arrested your son.
Well, they picked him up. He was 15 at the time, I think 15 or 16. So he didn't go to jail.
You didn't go to jail, but 3 years later, you're serving time.
I'm already gone.
You're gone. You're in jail.
Yeah, 105 months.
Yeah.
Been talking to him, think he's doing good. He hits 18, boom, they grab. He had been printing money the whole time. They were just waiting for him to turn 18.
Fuck. But they put him in a different jail, right?
Well, I was in, so I think my son saved my life. So where my dad died, I never left my children because I didn't want to be with them. My circumstances of surviving didn't allow me to be with them, you know, and going to prison. It wasn't that I chose to abandon them like my dad did. And so for me, I think there was a blessing there because of that, you know, because when I was in Big Spring, so I had been down for a couple of years already. They shot me over to Big Spring because of some riots, and it was an old Air Force base, real shithole, sewage. I mean, people would be just blown away if they seen how some of these prisons are in this country, man, just far out shit. And people were always sick there because of the sewage it was an old prison. There was lawsuits filed against the place, but you know, that shit don't work. And then the pandemic, then this virus hits us, chlamydic pneumonia. It was an offshoot of the SARS or some shit. It was right in 2009. And I got real sick, man. Like real sick. Here I'm like 230, benching 415. I'm a monster.
415. That's
oh, yeah. Oh, I was curling 225, bro, up against the wall. Bam. I mean, I was just a beast, man, you know? And then I get this sickness, man. I couldn't even, I seriously thought I was going to die in prison like my dad. I went from a monster to couldn't even do one push-up. Couldn't even do one push-up, man. And I kept trying to get a medical transfer out of there because the environment was killing me, you know? And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And then when he got arrested, they sent him to Forest City in Arkansas. And out of nowhere, I get called down to the office and say, hey, man, you're getting transferred to Forest City. I said, huh? Or they didn't even tell me Forest City. They just said you're getting transferred to a medical facility. I knew my son was at Forest City. And I knew that was a medical facility. I'm like, man, I hope they send me there. What do you know? That's where they sent me. I'll never forget it, bro. Because he looked like a baby. He was just 18. They sent me to Forest City, Arkansas, man. I'm in the holding facility. I just want to hit the yard, go find my boy. I know he's out here in this jungle, you know? And they put me in, we don't get into the dorm till like 8 o'clock at night. And I remember taking all my shit to the bunk. The white dudes came up to me, man. Hey, you're Art Williams. I'm like, yeah. They're like, your son's here. I'm like, yeah, I know. I want to go find him tomorrow. They were like, no, he's here in this unit. I said, they put us in the same unit? He's like, yeah, he's in the TV room right now. I said, damn. Boom, I shot right to the TV room, bro. And it was such a powerful moment because here I've been down 3 years. I hadn't seen him one time. Now here's my little dude, man, in prison.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. Because of me, right? Because of my shit.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a good dad, you know? And I walked into that TV room, man, and the whole TV room went quiet. He was sitting on the front row. I'll never forget it. And I just broke down crying, man. And he did too. And he got up, he ran to me, hugged me. And here's what's so amazing is every man in that room was in tears. The hardest of men.
Killers.
Just in tears, man. Thinking of their son. Thinking of, like, damn, this dude's in jail with his son, man. And he was a baby. He was 18, had a little baby face, man. And he was there for a month, and I believe the reason they brought me there, because he had already got into a little trouble. He was holding cigarettes for someone. So already they were kind of, you know, and he didn't know.
Seeing an issue, seeing a problem.
So to bring his dad. They knew I was no bullshit. And I was. I got there. Hey, whoever's near my son, we're about to get into some real shit here, man. Go near him again. And that was all that had to be said. It was over with. And we spent the next 2.5 years together, man. Cellies. I got him working out. I got him in an underground boxing thing because they had underground boxing. You know, I was painting.
He was singing.
He was singing in there. I really thought when he got out, he was going to do his music because he had a way to move people. I remember, man. So here we are. American Greed came out. And we were together in the room when American Greed aired. It was a documentary about me and my dad and shit and him and my son. And I remember watching it, man. I only watched it one time ever, and that was the first time in jail with him.
The only time?
Only time. I've never watched it again, even after I got out, you know. Hell, I barely read the shit that they write about me, man, you know. But we're watching it, man, when we left, man, because they showed him with some of his music, right? And the music was good. This is a long time ago. And so some of the brothers came up to him later on, his age, said, hey, man, you rap, man. You know, we do holiday concerts, man. Would you get down with us? And, you know, in prison, it's real racially divided at the highest level, you know. And Whites are the minority in there. And, you know, I've seen some real mistreatment shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there can be some real harsh environments for white people in prison. You know, it's just different. It's flipped, you know? So he came to me, he's like, man, Dad, you know, should I do this or not? You know, are the white dudes going to have problems? I said, listen, man, if you want to do it, you do it. And I'm behind you. That's all you need to know. And he's like, all right, I want to do it, man. And I remember, man, it was probably one of the coolest moments I had with my son. For the next 3 months, where he was getting ready for the concert, and he was working with some of the brothers down at the music room, and you never seen a white dude rap at a prison holiday concert, you know? But here he was, man. I remember him getting up there, and the whole prison was there watching, dude.
Yeah.
And he fucking rocked it.
He
killed it, man. You know? And he kept doing it. Every concert, man. And like, I thought he drives a trash truck now, you know what I'm saying? But he's been out 9 years too. He's doing good. Just bought his first house, just had a baby. So proud of him.
Congrats, man.
He didn't ever go back.
So you're a grandpa.
Yeah, I'm a grandpa just recently. And a dad. I got a baby and a grandbaby the same age.
They're gonna be
yeah.
Is he in LA?
Nah, he's in Chicago. He moved to Dixon. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, I got out a month after him.
A dad and a grandpa at the same fucking thing?
Yeah, it's nuts, dog, right? But,
wow.
Yeah, man, so during that prison time, man, that's where I was painting. That's where I was dreaming. And so the thing was he would do his music and I would do the art and writing. That's how we were looking. And inventions. I got a bunch of inventions I'd like to do one day, you know? And we became best friends, man. I became a dad in prison. You know? I mean, I still have issues with some of my children down in Austin because I was out of their lives, and they didn't ever forgive me, even to this day, really, you know?
You know what I was thinking about stuff like that? It's interesting because, like, you know, you don't know your father, and the only thing you kind of know is, one, he's not there, and two, your mom's bad-mouthing him. You know, he didn't do this, he didn't do this. Yeah. And there's something that I heard recently that I thought was pretty interesting. It's like, not all mothers are good and not all fathers are bad.
Yeah.
And it's a trip to run in, like, you actually run into your father later, mm-hmm. and you heard a different side of the story, or you found out some new information, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the situation you're in now where it's like, yeah, you weren't involved with them, but then you have everything else that's a package, and it just makes it so difficult. Like,
real difficult. You know?
It's like their fucking minds already decided.
It is. And when I got out, I went down there some times, flew them up, tried everything, really tried everything. And just, it got to the point, you know, I mean, now I have 3 babies with a beautiful woman. You know, I met her like a year and a half after I got out of prison, Sarah. She's North Korean and German. Her family escaped from North Korea, so she has
North Korean and German.
Yeah, she's a tough chick, and she was a national figure skater.
That's more gangster than the shit you've been through.
For sure, man. And her family, they escaped from North Korea, right? Yeah. So she's a tough girl, man. You know, changed my life. You know, when I met her, you know, she's the one who, you know, got me to believe in me. You know, even now, I work really hard as an artist. You know, the social media, I mostly use it for my events and my art. Don't really put anything personal out there. But there's a lot to the journey that people don't see, right? And when they only see good, or they see, you know, the art, you know, they just assume, oh man, he's on top of the world, right? And it may seem like that. You know, but there's a lot of things behind that are going on that I am dealing with so I can be there.
Yeah, the layers.
The layers, man, you know. And the art world is real. Yeah, and the art world is real scandalous, man. You know, you have, you know, for me, you know, I being in prison and thinking, you know, a lot of people have prison dreams, right? Most people, you know, oh, I'm going to be a writer. You got people writing books in there. Oh, I'm going to be a real estate guy, or I'm going to be in stocks, or I'm going to be in this, you know. I was actually wanting to be a writer. I wrote a book, 700-page book called Cain's Dagger. It's about It's like Constantine and Da Vinci Code. It's about how the secret societies deal with supernatural secret societies, you know, like some real heavy shit, man, right? Took me 5
different dimensions or something.
Way out.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years to write it. And during that 5 years of writing, I was painting, right? So my visual mind was being built through writing. And so I thought I was going to be a writer. I wanted to turn that book into a movie. I thought it'd be a badass movie.
Did you publish it?
I self-published it when I got out, and then I just kind of let it go, you know? And I want to break it into 2. Right, I did that create space when I got out of prison. Oh, I'm myself, you know.
Yeah.
But then as I looked at when I got the book and I read it again, I was like, man, this needs to be 2 books, man. You know, I need to pull this down and redo it and do it right. It's a great story, you know. And but the writing didn't happen. Right, I self-published thinking people were going to go crazy for it. Nothing, because it was such a big world, right, that I didn't understand. And he stepped away from his music. So reality hit when I got out, right? Like life. Bills, man.
Bills, rent.
Everything, right? So to pursue a dream, like at 40, right, was like, man, you know. But tragedy always, in my life, tragedy has always led to beauty. You know, when my house, you know, even in the criminal world, man, she's screaming and yelling at me, and we ended up finding the paper, right? You know, like whenever I've found myself to be at the very edge and at the lowest, like even when I was just about to go back into doing something bad this time, 7 years ago, and my son busted me for something little that he's seen that he knew was a part of something, and I walked away from the situation. And I'm sitting in Lacuna Lofts in Chicago, which was an artist loft I had a studio in. And I'm sitting there and I gave up. I'm sitting there, I can't work. I can't even print money. I felt like a complete loser. Like, what is my worth? What can I do? And Joseph Cacciatore walks by, and he owned the place, big time dude in Chicago, and he offered me a job. To be an intern artist for the building, help all artists. So there was actually a job I did have. But I didn't really consider that a real job because I was painting with artists.
Yeah.
From all over the world. It was like my...
That's
my
like paying for a university to practice painting, and you were painting.
It was great, you know?
Yeah.
That was my schooling. He was bringing in muralists from all over.
Paid internship.
Oh, it was the best, man. But he wanted to see me make it, man. And during that time, I got to spend time with him. And he taught me what it meant to be successful. The mindset, right? The discipline. You know, the determination you have to have, and the tenacity, right, to get through shit. You know? And as an artist, you would think like, you know, oh, you're a painter, man. That's easy. Shit, man. You know, try to get art in a gallery without a manager and a publisher and all this shit, right? A big gallery.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. The big ones, you know. Try even
everybody's painting.
Everybody.
Like everybody's doing something.
Everyone.
And worldwide.
Worldwide. There's millions. It's like
and there's a lot of good art.
A lot of good art everywhere. So how do you separate yourself? How do you do that? You know, for me, you know, I had a good moment at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house about 6 years ago. I sold a lot of art.
I saw that.
And I took the money and I built a gallery. The galleries wouldn't let me in. Well, fuck you then. I'll go build my own.
Yeah.
And I did, you know, and I kept that place. What was so crazy is right before the pandemic, you know, I was just getting ready to have that year. Right? And I've heard a lot of people say this, that they were like right at that edge of breakthrough, you know? And I had the Hollywood flew out. They were going to document the whole year. I was dealing with a studio here, New Wave Entertainment, which is Nucell now. And they were going to document I was going to do a Fisher Foundation event, Rolls Royce. I was going to do Arnold's again. And then I was going to do Art Basel Miami, so I was going to do 4 events, and they were going to record the whole thing.
And they're all fucking humongous
events.
They're
right?
fucking.
And these are things that I got, I was able to get on my own. Just hard work, man, showing up, being there, I think my first year that I went professional artist, I did like 37 shows in that year, all over the country. I had a white van. I load that bitch up, and I'm out the door.
Next.
I mean, that's how I lived, man. Even now, I haven't seen my kid I haven't seen my kids in like 10 days, because they live in St. George, my family, and then I have a place here, so I go back and forth. To be at the top of something, there's always going to be sacrifice, And so, I had my gallery for 4 years, and it was just happening, and then the pandemic hit. And I'm a barter, man. I trade shit all the time. So I've traded paintings for a Porsche. Had trade paintings for this RV. So I had that RV sitting there. So we jumped in it and we headed to Texas, man,
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
A Porsche and an RV.
Yeah, that's what I had, dog. It was nuts down in Texas.
Fucking A.
And then my boy had 100 acres, man. So we were like, the whole world's falling apart. And we're like in Crystal Lake, I think, or some
fishing.
It was insane, bro. I was like, man.
Fishing.
Yeah, just chilling. And then
hunting deer.
And then we went back to Chicago in August. And Sarah said, man, enough with the RV, dude. We got 2, at that time we only had 2 kids, Da Vinci and Love. I think Love was like 4 months. And then I talked to some of my friends out in LA. I got really good people here. Even my boy Matty O at Nucell, he's a manager, and he's kind of been guiding me. He's a Hollywood dude, though, They're trying to get the movie made and all that. And then my good friend, he's a rider. I got a couple rider friends. Ricky Funes, he's a boxing trainer out at 10 Goose Boxing out in Van Nuys. So I knew like only 4 or 5 people here, but they were good people, man.
Solid.
And they were like, bro, you got to come out here, man. They're going to open back up. And I was like, fuck it, man. I asked Sarah, I was like, you want to roll? She's like, yeah, I don't want to stay in Chicago. And so, we drove across the country, man, to not an RV, though. We got a Suburban, man. We took our time. This is during the pandemic, wildfires. And what was crazy, it was like, because we got here September 1st.
It's like the end of the world.
The end of the world.
Fucking
fires.
fires.
And this is what's nuts, dog. We're in Chicago. We're by my girl's family. And her friend's stepdad or whatever, when we're getting ready to leave, he grabs me by the arm. He said, are you crazy? You're going to take your wife and kids into LA where there's riots and fires and pandemics? You're going to fail. You're going to die. Damn
Democrats. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, he's going crazy. He's like, you're not going to make it. You can't do this. You can't take them. I pulled my arm off him. I said, man, don't tell me I'm going to fail. I don't want to hear that. I jumped in my car, drove away, and then Sarah met me. But I remember listening to him, man, like driving, like hearing his voice. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. And that made me it made me more determined to succeed in LA. LA is the toughest.
Nice.
Yeah, because
nice. It fueled you.
It fueled me, man. Like, no, I'm not going to fail, and I didn't. What happened? I ended up opening a gallery in Beverly Hills for 10 months. Then I had a beautiful space on Melrose. I ended up giving it up because the windows got shot out. Crazy shit. Some dude got killed in front of it. It was during that time, Melrose and La Cienega, real beautiful area.
When they were fucking attacking.
They were just robbing everyone, right? My street, 3 robberies. Dude got shot behind the place. The cafe got shot.
They were burning down buildings.
Oh, it was nuts. Dude, I was just like, enough, And
in LA is so fucking.
But I'm still here, I mean, that was I had that place for like 6 months. I closed in December. But my whole point was when coming to LA, I didn't want to have a gallery no more. I felt like my art had earned the place to be in a special place, right? And I always wanted that representation, and I always wanted that where I could just create, man. Not worry about selling it, not worry about this, just create it, And so when I came out here, when I had my gallery in Beverly Hills, I met a lot of people when I was there, from producers to actors to gallery owners to everything. But it all seemed like it was during the pandemic, and it just seemed like people were looking for something but didn't really know what. And I was just kind of this new thing, you know? And when I closed my gallery at Melrose, I started to think that maybe I didn't accomplish what I wanted when I was here, which is fine. I mean, the truth is LA and New York makes you, right?
Breaks you.
It can make you or break you.
Yeah.
You can either become the top or you're out of here.
Like millions of people that come
Millions. And so, and just because I have a story and just because the art's cool and all that it hasn't made shit easier. You know, if anything, some people look a little bit different at it. They don't always look the same at it, you know. But now, you know, I've been working with someone, you know, right? For the past 5 months now, started with an NFT transformation of a physical collection, right? It took me months to work on that thing. Finally got it to a place where it was accepted. So I finally have somebody who could rep my art, but she told me right from jump, hey, this is going to be a year's process. You know, this ain't going to be no overnight thing. It's going to be built slowly so it lasts. I mean, Bella blew my mind the first time I had dinner with her. The way she shook my hand, the way she looked in my eyes, and the way she didn't bullshit me. And I knew I had the right person. I went to one of the Highcroft Gallery events at the Waldorf Astoria, probably like in February or something.
Yeah, that setup was about then.
Spectacular, man. It was where I seen this is where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
For the first time in my art career, I walked into something where I said, this is what mine has to be. And from that day forward, it's slowly getting there, right? You know, like right now, I'm in the process of creating a body of work for her from the creation of the NFTs. It changed my work. That's what's been amazing about LA. When I came out here, new materials, new people, new inspiration. You know, I had some space material from.
That's some of the beauty of LA.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, my experimenting, my curiosity in LA has allowed me to do metals, has allowed me to do NASA. You know, Thomas Zelinsky, who works with Frank Gehry, gave me this crazy ass material that molds. You know, it's actually what I'm working on right now. It's a material from Frank Gehry. They used it to build the Louis Vuitton store in Paris. I got the leftover material.
That's fucking cool.
Super badass. I sold one of those pieces for $100,000 at Arnold Schwarzenegger's. I didn't get the money and went to charity, but I got that documented $100,000 sale from that stuff. You know, so
and you did that,
and I did it. Yeah, you know, and it helped all those children. That piece of art, you know. And now I just got like 50 feet of it, but they told me that's it. It's done. No more, man. You're gone. So once I make that collection art, that's it. But that's what's happened to me in LA. It's allowed me, you know, to create at a really high level. And then, like I said, working with someone who could rep my art in a manner that and me, help me become a better artist, a better, you know, creator. You know, so I right now this is a really exciting time right now for me.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I got a lot of cylinders working, man. You know, I'm doing some stuff with Scott Page, who played with Pink Floyd, and Jamie Weiland. Scott Weiland's wife. I got some real rare photos. I got some Bob Bonus photos from the Rolling Stones.
It's coming together.
Yeah, it's all starting to kind of click now, you know. And I got
it's like all this shit I've been doing my whole life. What does it mean? What do I do with it? And now it's like
it's all coming together now, you know. And it's like, so it's going to be interesting, you know. In the next, you know, if as long as the world sticks around and we don't blow ourselves up, you know, I think the next couple of years is going to be really cool for me, you know. And it's just a matter of just keep creating, keep being curious, man. Keep, you know, just keep jamming, man.
It's like that expression, curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought him back.
Brought him back. I love it, dog.
Right,
yeah. I've been in a few kill spots myself, man, you know.
But satisfaction.
Satisfaction, baby. I'm here, man, you know. And, you know, so it's like, you know, I hope the reason I like doing these things, podcasts and interviews, because, you know, I something happened some years ago, man. I was on the streets of Chicago. Me and my boys, we were at the Parliament. It's a real like high-end club. And we were club hopping. We had 2 limos that night. We were just kind of going around having a good time. And I came out, and this kid, he was like 20, 21. He asked me for some change, right? And I'm with a group of guys. You know how group guys are, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're animals. We're waiting for our cars to pull up, you know, so we could jump to the next spot. And I said, man, are you sick? And he looked at me. He's like, nah. I said, you on drugs? He's like, nah. I was like, man, you don't look hurt. You know, you're healthy, right? He's like, I said, why are you asking me for money right now? He said, what do you mean? I said, why are you asking me for money, man? You should be either working or at home going to school. Why are you here on the streets asking me for money? He said, well, you know, my parents wanted me to go to school, and I didn't want to go to school, and so they kicked me out, da-da-da-da. I said, so you're here because you didn't want to listen to your parents, and you're asking me for change. I said, let me tell you something. So now my boys are screaming. The cars pull up like, hey, man, we got to go, Art. I said, nah, man, go on. They tripped out. But I do shit like this all the time, though. They jump in the cars, they take off, and and I have a talk with them. I stayed with them for about 20 minutes. I never told them who I was. I just told them what I've been through. You know, told them these streets are tough. If you can go home, go to school, get a part-time job, enjoy the resources you have. That's what happens to a lot of young kids these days. They don't understand, man. We are truly blessed in this country, man. We got a toilet. We got a sink. We got a car. We got a fridge. Man, I've been places down in Mexico, man, where they're still peeing in the floor.
Yeah.
Okay? We have such resources, man. Even the people in the projects, I didn't realize how much they really have. But we look at poverty different.
Yeah, we have shelter, roofs, electricity.
Man, if you look at the world, if you look at yourself as a world citizen or not an American citizen, but a world citizen, you realize that everyone in this country is rich.
And that's what everything is. It's a world economy that people don't fucking understand or
They
get.
don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I watched a documentary with these cats in India who've been working salt mines for like 10 generations.
I was in India, which is a fucking trip.
India, yeah.
But give me a second. I'm going to put a quick pause.
Yeah.
Man, I had to take a piss.
Yeah, I hear you.
I had to take a piss. So we were talking about how lucky we have it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in
America.
In America, and compared to India and like just around the world.
Even areas of China, just everywhere, man. Everywhere. The poverty there is poverty.
Yeah.
Right? Poverty here on a world stage is still not poverty.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not.
Well, I think the biggest difference, too, is that what we deal with that other countries don't deal with is our poverty isn't necessarily the world's poverty, but we're this melting pot of all these different races and people, and there's so much fucking hate of, you know, like this person versus that person, and you're white but you're more red, and this person's, you know, Asian and this person's black, and there's so much fucking, you have Christians and Jews and Muslims and Nazis and fucking Hindus, like Hindus. It's so fucking wild that I think that's what makes America beautiful and crazy because like that's why you see like, you know, mass shootings, or that's why you see people losing their shit. And then the other thing is it's fucking crazy about America is it's really hard to find like comfort or love or a spouse or things in this country. You know, like you go to South America, everybody's so warm and everybody wants to communicate. Hey, how are you? I saw you. Hey, I saw you with your kids. Do you need help? You know, with groceries, whatever. It just seems like the world is more supportive in a sense for that. But
here, you know, like in America,
but here everybody's so fucking independent.
Well, and you know, like in Chicago, you have Little Italy, you got Greek Town, Chinatown, you have all these towns, you know what I'm saying? These different cultural areas, and you rarely see people mix within those areas.
Yeah.
Right. Like Chicago is really segregated, but it's not just black and white. It's everyone.
Right.
The Greeks are with the Greeks. The Jewish are with the Jewish. The Arabs are with the Arabs. So you don't really see too much, and it's almost in every city, right? Like if you could go into LA and you know where all the Jewish people are living. Right?
Yeah.
There's areas that they all are, right? Because their culture is similar and their food is similar and the stores are similar, right? And what happens is people get stuck in that, right? And it's hard for them to step out of it, right? And to open up to the other culture, you know? I've seen it a lot because I've been around a lot of different cultures. You know, I haven't been stuck in just one white race.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I understand what you're saying. It does exist all over the world or all over the country. But like for example, it like Russia's going through this whole war thing and they're attacking Ukraine, whatever you want to say it or however you want to say it. The thing is the Russian people are Russian people.
Exactly.
Like they bleed. Everybody bleeds Russian, you know?
Yeah.
Chinese people are fucking Chinese. Koreans are Koreans.
America's
a mixing pot. Like, you know, like,
pot,
shit, war, it's coming here. Maybe I'll go back to home to Canada, whatever. You know, so that's what I mean. Like it's such a mixing pot, and that creates its own challenges, especially when you have like the Muslims or Christians or Jewish or whatever the case is.
Well, they say it's
overall
a big
we're doing
experiment.
good. Yeah, overall it's a good. It is a big experiment. You know, like it's been going on for 200 years, almost 300.
Yeah, not long.
Yeah, not long at all.
Yeah, so we'll
see what happens.
We'll see, you know, but. But it's still America is the most beautiful country in the
Absolutely,
world, you know?
Absolutely.
And I've traveled, seriously. I've probably traveled every road in this country. Man, I've got like 3 million driver miles, man. I mean, just recently I drove across the whole country. I went from LA to Texas to Miami to New York to Chicago back to LA.
Yeah,
just did that. 22 days, 15,322 miles. I think Enterprise is probably going to change their unlimited miles because of me. For real. I had the truck for 22
They got you calculated,
22
man.
days, dog. I did 15,000 miles. How do you do that? 22 days, 15,000 miles.
All around the country.
I was rolling, man, and selling art. It was a great time. But no, this country is beautiful, man. You get out there, you know. Yeah.
That is beautiful. There's something that I saw in one of your videos online, and it was making counterfeit money and doing art is not that much of a difference, right?
Nah, not at all. I mean, it's creation, right? You're taking something blank and then you're putting an image on it. Just money happens to be, the financial power, right?
Right.
But art is a financial power too, though, right? It has its own. So there's so many similarities from even the colors and the mixing of colors and the detail, right? Some of my early work, is so detailed because I did it in prison, so I had time. There's a piece I did. It was an 1896 $1 bill. It's a woman on front pointing to the Capitol, and it took me like almost a year to paint it. But she's sitting on this pillar. It has like a bunch of tiny little lines on it. It took me 3 months to paint that thing. One haired brush, like 10,000 lines. Like some of my early work is just ridiculous.
You still got it?
No, I sold it. When I got out, art saved me. I sell a piece here, sell a piece there when I needed it the most. Now I don't get that opportunity to paint like that. My art had to evolve with being free. But yeah, man, the art in the counterfeit, and they have. I think that's why I've been able to sustain independently so long without going to an art school, without having an art manager, an art publisher, an art broker. Right? I mean, it's a tough industry. Be an artist. and then to feed kids with it and to live off it, like, is even tougher. You know, most artists are single. A lot of artist friends I meet, they don't have kids, you know. A lot of them are single, right? I actually have a family that I take care of, which makes it very stressful because you have to wait on the sale most of the time, right? You know, I mean, everyone, you hear about these artists who, you know, they had this event and they sold out, right? I've had good moments, you know, equivalent to that, but it's not every time.
Not at all.
Not even close, you know? And, but, you know, your moment will come. You just got to keep moving, you know? And I think, you know, the counterfeiting, the one thing for sure that, well, the judge told me something. When I was getting sentenced, he said, you know, I'm hearing you're the best in the world at printing money. And I've not even seen this money that they're talking about. And I want to see it before I sentence you. And so the prosecutor gave it to them. They took it up to the judge, and he's looking at it, and he's like, yeah, this is really good, Mr. Williams. It would have fooled me. He said, how long did it take you to get this good? And I told him, I said, man, Your Honor, I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years, and I'm still learning, you know? He said, he goes, what do you think you could have done in 15 years if you would have applied that time and energy to the right thing? He said, I promise you could have been the best at it. If you would have done the same amount of work and the same amount of energy, you would have been the best at it. Man, that shit stuck with me, dog. You know? Like when I went back to my cell, all I could just keep thinking, damn, I wasted 15 years. 15 years, man, just on one thing, never stopping, didn't give a shit what was in front of me. I was going to figure it out. But then I let what he said, because he finished it, because he said, I'm going to have to give you some time. And I hope you really think about it. And I hope you really decide to use the time to become the best at something else. And that right there is what happened, right? It was the same characteristics I used to defeat the 100 and to print it in the art world, right? Same thing. The same being able to overcome the obstacles, the same trying to figure it out, the same not quitting, right? Those things is, and granted, you know, if I stepped into something else, right, with the same 15 years, so right now I'm at 9. I'm at 9 years free. You know, so I got another 6 before I hit that 15 mark. Right? It's going to be it's going to be a big year for me as long as I live through it, right? That 15 years, I'm going to look back and I want to say, what did I do with the 15 years? All right? Because there was 15 years I was printing money. Now I'm listening to the judge. This is the next 15 years. Where am I? Where I envision myself being is a top artist in the world who's helping people. And, you know, maybe, you know, revisiting writing, revisiting some of my inventions that I wanted to do. But for sure, a top artist. Right? That will happen. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, and so the counterfeiting in the art, the similarities are the characteristics that it took to become the best at it. You know, and I'm not the best painter. Right? I admit that. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't learn from no teachers. I didn't study under a master. I learned from experience. You know, the experience of working on the canvas, working with my hands, working with my mind. You know, and so, you know, those are the things. But there was something I wanted to get back to you with you. We were talking about this young man that I had talked with on the street, where I gave him some cash.
That's right. And then you had your friends go.
And they left, right?
Yeah.
So here's this kid asking me for change, and I'm asking him what's going on. And he's telling me that because he got kicked out because he didn't want to listen to his parents. And I told him, I said, here, I'm going to give you some money to get home, but to get home. I'm not going to give you change. I'm going to give you some dollars. I want you to take your ass home, and I want you to listen to your parents. I said, can you do that for me, man? He said, you know what, man, I will. I want to go home. I don't want to be out here no more. I gave him some money. About 3 months later, I can show you the message on my Facebook, right? I get this random message from someone, and guess who it was? It was that kid. And he said, Mr. Williams, I wanted to give you an update on my life. I listened to you that night, and I went home, and I went back to school for carpentry. He said, and then my mom got sick, and she's no longer with us, and now I'm taking care of my dad. He goes, I want to thank you because I didn't know who you were that night, but I went and looked you up, and you know, he said, you're this, but you took time with me when you didn't have to. And I want you to know that I'm doing good. That one fucking message from him made everything seem right. It made all the bullshit, it made all the crap I went through, that one fucking message made me feel like that's why I'm human, that's why I'm here, that's why I'm alive, that's why I'm telling my story. Because it really does help people. You know, we go through life, man, just moving. Boom, 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 boom. Very rarely do we notice the man on the corner, except, you know, he's got the sign. And maybe the first thought is he real, is he not? Right? That's what we do. But he's still a human. Right? He's still a person. You know? And who are we to say that we can't touch that person at the right time? Maybe giving that change doesn't do shit for him. But maybe it does. Maybe it does, man. Maybe you change that 21-year-old kid who's begging for change, who's now going to school to be a carpenter. He still reaches out to me. He's doing great now. He graduated school. He's in the union. Right? So even if my whole life was meant shit, as long as I know that kid is doing well, it gives value to my life through other people being successful. That's where humanity's got away from shit. We think success is us, me, I. Right? Success is us, man. The fucking world. You know? And so that's how I live now, you know, and that's why I like doing these, talking, right? This has been probably one of the coolest ones because I just get to be me right now, you know? But, you know, so this whole thing, this whole story, the counterfeiting, the art, all of it, you know, it's all leading to something. I don't know what it is yet, you know?
The big plan.
But I know that I'm on the right journey, right? I know that I'm on that 15 years, see where the fuck I'm going to be. All right, I'm at 9 years now. Free, 9 years, you know, believing in 6 years professional artist, you know. And so we'll see what happens, man. I'll come back in another 6, see where I'm at, you know.
Yeah. you think you're going to, once you figure it out and you're satisfied, you're like, oh, fuck, this is it. You think you're going to write to that judge and say, hey, man, you fucked me up with those words on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, on Facebook and be like, yo.
Yeah, no, I'd like to go see him personally.
Yeah.
Go see
reach out to him somehow.
Yeah, reach out to him, man, and say, you know what, man, I don't know if this happens much, but what you told me changed my life, and now I tell people that could possibly change their life.
Yeah.
So the shit really works.
Yeah.
We just have to take time, you know? Just take time with people and care about them. Like, genuinely care about them.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not just with, like, with strangers, but it's just with your own friends, with your own family. Check in on them.
Check in,
see how they're doing, you know? Fucking.
Yeah. I'll do a thing where I'll go through my phone, man, my contacts, you know, just kind of scroll through it and just pick one. Hey, how you doing, man? Haven't heard from you in a while. right? Just little things that you can do, you know. And
So
people do
easy.
it. And the people do it to me though now, right? I'll be going through some shit, man, and then all of a sudden I'll get a text from somebody, man, just telling me, hey, man, really proud of you, bro, love you. Just those 4 words, 5 words, man.
Yeah.
Make you feel like, damn, okay, I'm loved. Okay, I keep doing this shit. Because that's what happens to a lot of us, man. We go through life feeling alone. Nothing sad. You know, you hear about how the elite, they all have this money, but they're unhappy. You know, some of them are, some ain't. You know, I don't know. But there's a lot of people who have but don't have.
Yeah.
Right? They got everything, but then they don't have nothing. Why? There's a reason, man. You know. And so those are the kind of things that I've had to tackle with in my life, you know, to change as a person, to become free, right? Real free, you know, because at the end, man, that's really all that, you know, for me, that's what it all started from. Desiring freedom, desiring mental freedom, spiritual freedom, physical freedom, you know, financial freedom. So my mind, it's always on freedom, 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 you know? It's like pumps in my blood, you know? So, you know, I think that once you acquire those things, man, you know, that's the shaman, right? That's that shit, man, that, you know, sitting in the Tibetan monk's house for 20 years to reach, you know?
Yeah.
Right? So, but we're here. We're going to do
right.
it now. Yeah.
Fucking enjoy it.
Fucking enjoy it, man.
We're going to do it for next time we do a podcast.
Yeah, I'm here, bro. Anytime you want me back, man, you're my boy, man.
Because I got to get you back for when you got hit by lightning.
Hit by
We're not going to do it
lightning.
now because you just closed so fucking solid.
Yeah.
What's your social media page? What's your website? How do we get a hold of you?
ArthurJWilliamsJr.com, my website, ArthurJWilliamsJr. for my Instagram. And same with my Facebook. I just use my name for everything, man.
That's fucking perfect,
just
man.
When I see these people's Instagram and it's like, man, who is that? It's like some crazy New York City. I'm like, man, I'm just using my name, man.
Yeah.
You know, so I keep it simple, dog, you know. But, man, bro, thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for
this is
coming.
Great. Yeah, this is great, man.